Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Look at the score. Look at the score. He just did.
Hey, but look at the bench though.
Look at number 3.
Right before I walked in the locker room, Danny Ainge pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, Tony Allen, come here. Let me give you a little basketball etiquette. When you're down 40, do not do an in-game windmill. It's just disgusting for the game."
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
We have another edition. This will be the third edition of the Debate Club. You guys are going to sell a shoe to Mr. Bennett Doyle, our producer over here.
Oh, yeah.
I saw these.
Go.
I've seen these.
I saw these on social media too.
It's the perfect house shoe.
I know, right?
Like, yeah, it's not even a house shoe. I bet you they're really comfortable. You know, you heard of unisex. This is unifoot.
Oh my God.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
It's time for Grizz Beat, a full court press of highlights, insights, news, and scoops covering the Grizzlies and the NBA. Catch up each week on the latest Grizz buzz with regional and national insiders locked in on our squad. Running point from Grind City Media Studios, our host, Jarvis Greer.
Hey everybody, welcome to Grizz Beat. I'm your host, Jarvis Greer. We are here at 191 Beale, right across from FedEx Forum. The storm came in, the sky's that dark, now it's all blown away, and we're ready for NBA Draft Day. Yeah, 2024. Joining us here in studio, two of our illustrious guests. We got the great Matt Infield from Action News 5. Matt, glad to have you back in the saddle with us.
The great and the illustrious. You always do a good job of hyping us up, even if it's not always completely true, but always a pleasure to be here with a true legend himself and yourself.
Well, you're the big dog to me. I hear you. And, of course, from News Channel 3, we've got the one and only Colin Cody, son of Mac 10 Pistol himself, the former Memphis Tiger football star at the Jet wide receiver. You're doing your thing in your own right at News Channel 3. We welcome you back to the program.
Thank you. Always a good time to sit here, like what Matt just said, with a legend, fellow Brothers boy as well.
That's correct. See, Christian Brothers High School. Go Brothers.
Go Brothers.
That's right. And we got, of course, the guru of Grind City Media himself, as my grandson would say. He is on the scene live at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, the one and only Michael Wallace, the guru of Grind City Media. And Michael, you're up there where the scene is set to go. What's happening? What's crack-a-lacking in Brooklyn?
Well, everybody's going through the walkthroughs right now. They're doing a lot of the pre-programming interviews and all of those things. You're seeing Bobby Marks with ESPN and all of those Adrian Wojnarowski's and all of those guys walking around now trying to get set up for their pre-game shows. And pretty soon the team representatives will be here doing their walkthroughs, and then they'll start loading in the draft picks, the lottery guys on the red carpet. So it's a lot going on, man. I'm glad to be here. Grind City Media, Grizz Beat represented right here on the scene. So we're definitely looking forward to a great show.
I have to ask you, Michael, what's it like for them to be able to rub elbows with you, the great Michael Wallace, guru of Grind City Media?
See, that's the good thing, man. The beautiful thing about, I've been blessed in my career. I've worked at these places before. So,
right.
I've worked at ESPN. I know these guys. They're colleagues. Some of them are friends of mine. And being in this situation, I hadn't been in this building since 2019's NBA draft when Ja Morant walked through these same hallways, man. And I remember what that was like for his family and what it was like for him. And it really shifted the Grizzlies into this next-gen era. So to be back tonight when they have a lottery pick and a lot of activity going on, we'll see whether they jump up, jump back, stand pat. we'll see. But it's great to be here, man. And, it's always good. It's always a lot of stories.
Hey, before we get into the program hard, can you pan around a little bit and show where the seating area looks like? Because I think like they're charging $20 a ticket for the fans. Just the fans can come in off the street and watch the lottery. And,
yeah. What I could do is kind of pan around, and you can see, what the building looks like.
Yeah.
These are the seats. These are the experiences behind me. It's sort of a panoramic view. Fans will be right here in this experience section right off the stage. And then as you walk through, you look behind me, you're seeing this is the stage where the guys are going to walk up on.
Wow.
So, you're right there. I mean, like we are literally right on the floor. I'm going to flip the camera around real quick. When you get drafted, you're going to come up just like this. Hey, this is the green room area, where the families and the agents are going to be. And then they walk right up to this stage. And like I said, I'm not sure if I have access to do all of this, but until somebody tells me to stop.
Yeah, ask for forgiveness, not permission. I hear you. Ask for forgiveness.
I am not going to walk up on the stage. I am not going to walk up on the stage, but I'll show you where they get the hat. The hat is right there. They'll get the hat. Then they'll walk right up there, shake the commissioner's hand. And then there you go. And then next thing you know, you're looking out at this area right here.
So, this is awesome. Get the behind-the-scenes look only you can get right here on Grind City Media. That's totally awesome. I hear that he got fitted. You got fitted for your suit, right? Just in case they call your name from Grambling State University. Michael Wallace.
That'll be the oldest draft pick in NBA history right there. I'm not sure if I can help a team.
That'll be
not sure if I can help a team.
Pick number 61, right? It only goes to 60. But anyway, that's it.
In essence, I just gave you guys the walkthrough, really. That was the walkthrough of what you're going to see. And this is one more behind-the-scenes view. What's going on, man? You see the ESPN crew there?
Uh-huh. This is all just great to be able to see this. Tim Bontemps? Yeah. And this is, where they're going to be sitting down one-on-one with ESPN's crew after the fact, after the thing is done. So you guys got it, man. That's Grizz Beat in a nutshell. So if my Wi-Fi acts up and I don't give anything else to the show, I feel like we've done our part, man. We've done our due diligence here. So that's pretty much where we are. And that's where we're going to be at tonight as we see what the Grizzlies do with the number 9 pick and where they land in a few more hours. Okay, so let's go. We got some graphics we can get through right here. We're going to show you, like, the NBA draft starts tonight, 7 o'clock Memphis time on ESPN. I know you'll want to be in front of the television for that. There it is, and then it says everything's on Eastern time because that's what we get from the networks. But it'll be on ABC and ESPN, 7 o'clock Memphis time, round 1 tonight. Then on Thursday, round 2. This is the first time they have split the draft. It's a 2-round draft. They split it 1 round one day, 2nd round the next day. So that will start at 3 o'clock on Memphis time. It will be exclusively on ESPN. Of course, you'll find out all the news right here on Grind City Media. And it's something that, guys, you think it's a good idea to split the draft over 2 days, right?
I was thinking about it. I was a little indifferent on it at first, but it is going to make tonight shorter, which for us, like selfishly, as people that work and have to be there the entire night, it probably makes tonight a little bit shorter. So I'm all for it. I'm curious what the TV numbers look like for round 2 in the middle of the afternoon, but I guess we'll find out. You might as well give it a shot, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like what you just said, Matt, it beats leaving here like 2 a.m. on a Wednesday night, but definitely going to be up here, the rest of the week because we know we got tonight, tomorrow, then obviously we got some picks coming in later this week. So makes for a full week for us on the TV side.
Well, there's something called the presidential debate that's coming up tomorrow night. They didn't want to go head-to-head against that.
Yeah,
so they're moving it in the afternoon. It's a good idea. And to give the guys in the 2nd round, they get their own day. And there have been some really good picks to come out of the 2nd round, especially for Memphis, that we know over the years. Now, with the let's take a look. The Grizzlies have had some really good luck, and they've had some crazy luck in the draft over the last few years. But you can see the Grizz 1st round, they're number 9 overall. That is where we stand right now as of this moment here on Wednesday afternoon. Then in the 2nd round tomorrow, they've got picks number 39 and 56. Of course, this is all a liquid situation because once that clock gets rolling, even right now, there's some backroom deals being made. So whenever it happens, make sure you tune in to Grind City Media for the latest. And, of course, this is the first time in history that the Grizzlies have picked number 9. Now, look over the last 5 years. These are the Grizzlies' first-round draft picks. Now, I want you to tell me hit, miss. We'll start with 2022. Jake LaRavia, the Grizz, take him at number 19. What do you think?
I think right now you have to call it a miss. I mean, I definitely flashed a little bit in the second half last season, but big picture, I would call that a miss.
Colin?
Yeah, we'll say the same right now as it stands. But, with Jake, he still showed like those flashes that Matt just reached on because of those injuries. I think if he can show that he's healthy and he's durable to last through a season, he showed some stretches where he scored, multiple 30-point games and put up some great numbers in a season that, we were kind of just looking for anything to hang our hats on as a positive.
Yeah, I take a look at Jake LaRavia and I see, oh, yeah, he was injured, so it's really hard to tell what kind of player he was. But once he finally got on the floor and got some good minutes, he showed, okay, I can see why they took him there. And plus, he didn't just stand outside chunking threes. He actually started going to the hole more, and he rebounded some. So a guy at pick number 19, I see him as an asset, not necessarily that he'll be on the Grizzlies roster, but he gets somebody that you could include as part of a trade to get something that you really want, a seasoned veteran that you already know what they're going to do. But I'm not going to say hit or miss. I'm going to give it an even on that because he has shown that he can do something and could help generate something else. 2021, Zaire Williams with the number 10 pick out of Stanford. The Grizzlies did some dealing to move up to get him in the lottery. And then Santi Aldama, they took him at number 30. Also, yeah, we forgot David Roddy was in on that 2022 pick with Jake LaRavia. And Roddy, of course, got traded to Utah, and they turned him into something else. So
Phoenix.
Yeah. Oh, to Phoenix. That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Went to Phoenix. So 2021, Zaire and Santi, hit or miss Zaire Williams. That's
a miss for me right now, too. And it's disappointing because his rookie year, he showed some real flashes in the playoffs, especially. Started out 22 hurt, and it feels like he's never bounced back from there. But, where we're talking about LaRavia after the All-Star break last year, averaged over 14 a game, shot like 36% from three, showed those flashes that even if he's not here next year, he could be a trade asset tonight or sometime over the summer. Didn't really see that as much with Zaire, and then he got hurt on top of that. So I'll qualify that as, again, a miss for the moment.
All right.
He did have that big moment against Milwaukee, though, so I was happy to see Zaire
that was
perform.
Tremendous.
That
was a great game and a great ending.
Great game, great ending. Then added on with Santi. I love Santi. I think he has shown some tremendous upside since he's been with the Grizzlies organization. And he's still so young. So, like you said, he could also be used as a nice trading piece, but he can also continue to be a big part of this rotation moving forward.
Yeah, I like Santi Aldama. I think we're still scratching the surface on him. Get in the weight room, take him down there on Mill Branch or up Chelsea and Breedlove, put him out there, let him fight for it if he comes back.
At the precinct. Take him to the precinct real quick.
Oh, take him to the precinct, over there off Mount Moriah. Let him go out there, see if he makes it back, then he'd be ready to go. We'll get comments from Michael Wallace up there in Brooklyn on everybody in just a minute. Of course, 2020, wow, Desmond Bane at number 30, steal of the draft that night. What do you think, Nat?
Yeah, I mean, 21 through 22, it's a little bit questionable, but man, I'll incorporate all of 18 to 20 in one comment here. I mean, that is a franchise-changing stretch of picks right there. You got your core three best players, all guys that have either made all-star teams or Bane is someone in the last few years who has played at the caliber of an all-star, in my opinion, and he's gotten hurt and probably hasn't been able to see that all the way through. But, I mean, Bane, Ja, and Jaren in a 3-year stretch completely transformed the franchise. And Brandon Clark on top of that, obviously, when he's been on the floor.
The BC bounce.
And he looked really good coming back from the Achilles injury, and he fits really well in the front court with Jared. So, I mean, hit all the way around with those four guys for sure.
What do you think there, Colin?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about what Zach Kleiman, he's always done things on draft night. He's always made a move.
Yes.
And he hadn't missed when it came to those first picks, 18 through, 2020?
18 through 20,
I mean, the Grizzlies, they're in prime position. Not sure what they do tonight, how they move forward and pick a big man or a shooting guard or move down. But, I can expect some fireworks coming out of 191 Bill here tonight.
Mm-hmm. And it must be said as well that even if you qualify a couple of those picks from 21 and 22 as misses, Kleiman has more than made up for it in the second round in 22 and 23 and drafting guys like Vince Williams Jr. and G.G. Jackson. So you're talking about those guys in the second round. Now they get their own day. there could be some good players, even in a perceived weaker draft like this one. There could be some really good players coming out of that second round.
Yeah, and we talked about 18 through 21. Those picks are just excellent for any team in the 100%. NBA and the association. But getting Brandon Clark where you got him is just like, and he's on a great contract. He wants to be here. He was at one of the Grizzlies charitable events yesterday, and he worked his butt off to get himself back ready to play. We saw what he could do when he came back for those last few games there at the end of the season. Just, he's one of those guys that you've got to round out. I mean, you can't just have the big three and that's it. You got to have other guys that are ballers. And he's a guy that can be on the floor at the end of the game for you, and he can finish them. If we still got Michael Wallace up there in Brooklyn, Michael, you got an overview of how the Grizzlies have drafted over the past 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, the activity is also all those 5 years involved the trade one way or another, either on draft night or during draft week. And that counts for last season as well, too, where they sent out 2 first-round picks and Tyus Jones in a 3-team trade to land Marcus Smart. That was done just a couple of days before the draft. So, the Grizzlies have been busy all of those years. Every single year that Zach Kleiman has been in charge of the front office
King
on the
Kleiman,
basketball side,
put the crown on.
He's been wheeling and dealing. So
yes.
to Matt's point, what they did in 18, 19, and 20 set the foundation for the core, and what they've done in 21, 22, 23 is kind of on the back end. You got better work in the second round and that kind of thing. So we'll see if that trend continues tonight, one way or another. I do expect the Grizzlies to be involved in some wheeling and dealing tonight as we go forward as well.
Which leads us perfectly into the question of the week. What do the Grizzlies do tonight? That is the biggest thing. Is it a trade up? Is it a trade down? Is it a trade out? Do you make or keep the pick at number 9? We'll start with Colin Cody. What do you think the Grizzlies will do?
I'm just like everyone else. We do not know. I mean, we can take as many guesses as we want, but the Grizzlies, they have prime opportunity to make some noise, move up, try to get a solid big man or solid shooter that they can bring in and already be as confident as a professional, or they can kind of trade down and try to get another steal out of that first round. So I'm just interested to see how they continue to bolster this roster after tonight, because that's what you have to do. You just mentioned you got your core 3, you got BC coming off the bench, but it's all about the guys around, the supporting cast, and to continue to build that up with GG and Vince and another big potential move tonight. It's all going towards winning a championship.
I'll give a quick conservative, lukewarm, spicy take. The conservative take is they stay at 9. They take Devin Carter out of Providence, whose father, Anthony Carter, is on the staff, and I think he would be a really good fit, probably a plug-and-play guy. Lukewarm take is they trade up for Donovan Clinton, who Grizzlies fans have talked about for months since UConn won their second straight national championship. My spicy take, this is for the people. The people love this one. They trade 9 and other assets to the Pistons and bring Jalen Duren back to the 901, and that would be very, very, very popular. I'm a big fan of his game. I would love that. I don't know how realistic it is, but that's where I'm at on those kind of takes.
Michael Wallace, the guru of Grind City Media, you're up at the Nerve Center where it's all going to happen tonight. Do any of those takes sound like possibilities to you?
Yeah, all of them sound like possibilities, because all of them, in one way or another, have been bantied about. Those are real conversations. You know what I mean? I'm not privy to know exactly what Zach Kleiman and his front office crew are going to do. I haven't been in the war room there at FedEx Forum, and they don't share, what they've done. They haven't tipped their hand. But what I can confirm is that they've done their due diligence with everybody at almost every position in this draft class. I talked to some guys. There were 24 guys that made the media circuit yesterday up here in New York that are going to be drafted tonight. And of those 24 guys, a third of them confirmed that they worked out or met with the Grizzlies. And that's at every single position, from the bigs all the way to, sort of the combo guards. So this team could do a number of different things. Their options are going to be open. And I really don't think that their best move is going to be made until they figure out what the top 3 picks are going to be in this draft. Houston is going to be the telltale sign of whatever else happens the rest of the way.
They hold the number 3.
First is Atlanta. Second, obviously, is Washington. Those are going to be pretty much predictable. But what Houston does at number 3 will directly impact what the Grizzlies will do at number 9. I think that's my bold prediction.
3-team, multiple team trade between Houston, Memphis, and somebody else. Take your pick, probably Phoenix. And the Grizzlies get the number 3 pick and get Donovan Clingan. You want to put some money on that? Anybody want to put some money on that?
That's a little spicy, too. Now, it's a question of whether they have to go up that high to get claimed, because I think that Charlotte makes sense at 6 as a potential trade partner. But, I mean, if you are under the assumption that, how do you say his name? Ricochet goes number 1, Sarr goes number 2 to Washington. If you want to make sure no one else gets Donovan Kling and you like him that much, it could make some sense.
If you like him, go get him. Michael Wallace, I think you talked to some of the potential draftees tonight, right? When you're up there in Brooklyn, New York. We got the great Michael Wallace. He dropped out.
Yeah. No, I'm still here.
Okay, yeah. So you actually talked to some of the draftees while you're up there in Brooklyn, correct?
Yeah, I did. I did talk to some of the draftees and the prospects that are going to be walking across this stage momentarily. And when you look at what their thoughts are, you really have to understand that they're ready for this moment. And so from, guys like Sarr at the very top to Zach Edey, going all the way through, Dalton Connect, all of these guys had some very, very interesting things to say as they anticipate their names getting called. Take a listen.
Alex, you talked about your strengths and what you feel like you can do from a versatility standpoint. What is 1 or 2 areas where you feel like you need to make the biggest gains to transition to the NBA?
I think, I can always get my stamina more, It's a 48-minute game, 40 where I come from. So I think it's almost one more quarter to play.
Zach, you talked about staying true to who you are and what you are as a player. Do you feel like, after 2 years of being National Basketball Player of the Year, putting up historic production, you still sort of have to defend what you are in the modern NBA?
Yeah, I think it's a tough thing, obviously, kind of when people want to take down your game because you play a certain way. But at the end of the day, I think teams are going to value what I do. Teams are valuing what I do. It doesn't matter what people say. Teams put stock into rebounding. Teams put stock into having strength in the paint, strength in lane, all that stuff. People are going to say what they're going to say, but I kind of, like I said, I know who I am, I know what I'm good at, and I know what I can stick to, and I know what I can kind of hang my hat on.
But Dalton, even with the projections, guys are kind of all over the place. Even from some of the team executives, they value this class a little bit differently. Do you see opportunity there where a guy that's probably projected at 9 can jump up to maybe 4 or 3 or maybe in the top?
Yeah, this class is, I think, really good. I mean, we got tons of great players, so I think anybody could go anywhere, to be honest.
Along those lines, though, do you look at maybe this time as an opportunity to show teams that you should go higher?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could always do that, but just have to go out there and showcase what I can do.
Yeah. How much did that Final Four, that NCAA tournament run factor in your ultimate decision to say, all right, it's time, I'm ready to test this? Or before the tournament, were you as confident you would be sitting right here right now?
I feel like the Final Four really set it off for me. I feel like, especially after the Alabama game, I feel like I had a pretty good game, and I put myself on a good stage to be able to, by the time of the end of the season, be able to know where I'm going. So I would just say, that Final Four run, it had a big impact on my decision on whether I was staying or leaving for sure.
Wow, how about that? When you look at the guys there, the 2 in the middle, Zach Edey and Donovan Kling, it's like whoosh, mouth watering kind of deals. Maybe Edey falls back a little bit, or maybe if you like him, you just go get him. It doesn't matter. Klingon, everybody likes Klingon, and it's like one of those Klingons holding everything very close to the vest. Michael Wallace said a lot of the guys that he had talked to had actually worked out for the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies keeping everything zip tight. Nobody knows who was in here and who were not. We heard a few things about maybe he was here, maybe not. But when you look at the big men between Zach Edey and Klingon, possible to get Klingon. More likely to get Edey. What do you think? Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think that it's probably unlikely Klingon slides to 9 when you look at the teams that are rumored to have interest in him. So I think you probably would have to jump up and get him. That being said, if you told me it's either trade up to get Klingon or take Edey at 9, I think that I would lean the way of trading up to get Klingon. I do like Zach Edey, but I mentioned on our draft show we did the other night on Action News 5, I just have worries about his fit defensively, because even if he is a little more agile than he used to be, this is very much a spread pick and roll league. And I think that if you struggle to defend smaller players, you have to be a really, really dominant offensive player to make up for that, a la kind of a Nikola Jokic, and anyone who expects Zach Edey to turn to Nikola Jokic is kidding themselves. But, and that's not to say, I think Edey can be a good NBA player, but if you told me it's either trade up to 6 and get Clingan or stay at 9 and take Edey, I like the value of Clingan more.
Okay, I'm a little different. I think I like Edey and I like Clingan, what they both bring to the game. For me specifically with Edey, even if you do get him later down the line, that doesn't mean that it's a bad option because you miss out on Clingan. Because we saw the potential resume builders from both guys in the national championship and what they present. I think right now Zach Edey is a much more well-rounded and polished basketball player, and I don't know if Clingan will ever be able to be someone that's not just a screen and roll to the basket type of guy. He might be better defensively, but I also think you might get a little bit more bang for your buck if you go with Zach Edey for well-roundedness at this point.
All right, I'm gonna hit it like this, and then we'll talk to Michael Wallace about this. Michael, when I look at look at the draft and look at what the Grizzlies have done, when they finished second in the West twice, 2 years in a row, second in the West, they were in the top 3 or 4 in the entire league in rebounding. You need somebody on the boards. You need that big dog down low. Could that be Donovan Clingan? He's a good rebounder. He's 7'2". He can move. He can pick and roll. Zach Edey, now, while they think he's slow, but his measurables in the combine were better than Clingan's. So maybe it's a little deceptive there, but you can't teach 7'4". And, if just standing there, he'll get a rebound or two. The Grizzlies needed rebound, and they fell off the face of the earth in rebounding last year because everybody was hurt. They didn't have Steven Adams. And, maybe he'll be healthy enough for Houston to play. Who knows? We'll see. But they got to have a monster down there that's just going to gobble up the boards. And I'm going to go to the great Michael Wallace in Brooklyn. And, you've talked to those two guys, and what you've seen them in person. None of us have actually seen them in person. You saw them in person. What strikes you about that? Who would be the better fit for the Grizzlies?
Man, their size is just phenomenal. I've been around the league 25 years, now at this point, and I've seen the Yao Mings, I've seen the Shaquille O'Neals, I've seen, guys that physically are just massive human beings, and both Edey and Clingan fit that bill. They both are stout too. They're not just skinny guys or just, they have strength as well. They're ready physically right now to jump into the NBA and play tomorrow. I've long, been an Edey fan. I told him, directly, listen, man, look, people are overlooking you and you have to defend yourself. You guys heard the clip a second ago. At a certain point, man, 7'4", you were a 2-time National Player of the Year.
Correct.
On teams that you elevated and lifted. You are a dominant post player, and there is going to be room for you in this league. Anyone that thinks that he can't be effective in this league, who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop him from getting post position? Who's going to stand in front of him and deny him getting the ball when you throw it up at the rim? That guy is going to be there on both sides. So the question is, how much is it going to cost the Grizzlies to get up to number 3, 4, 5, or 6 to get Clingan? And is it going to be worth it? Is it going to be worth it because you're going to leverage your future first-round picks for that if it takes that? Or do you move down, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 slots and get somebody who's going to contribute for you right away as well without having to give up as much? And maybe in that deal, you can even unload some salary or some players that you're not, using anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see where this falls. I think either case, if it works out for the Grizzlies, is a plus. I can defend either one of the picks, and I'm just as intrigued to see what happens as anyone else.
Yeah, we all are. It's all unfurling tonight at day 1 of the NBA draft. When we come back on Grizz Beat, we'll have more from Brooklyn, New York, with the guru of Grind City Media himself, Michael Wallace, and our in-studio guests, Matt Infield and Colin Cody. That's all coming up next after this break on Grizz Beat.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
I think we have the college basketball title futures. UConn's #1.
I really like Houston. I'd have them winning it all, but you can't be giving Drake jerseys. What is wrong with you?
Maybe the Drake curse is stronger in college basketball.
How long has he been riding with Kentucky?
He wore an Alabama jersey and Saban retired.
The Odds Couple with Rob Fisher, Lang Whitaker, John Roser, and CJ Hurt live Thursdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Hey Grizzlies fans, turn your stadium excitement into betting action at Southland Casino Hotel. As a proud sponsor of the Memphis Grizzlies, Southland brings you more gaming action than ever before. Step onto our massive casino floor stretching more than 2.5 football fields. Slot enthusiasts can enjoy more than 2,300 machines from penny slots to high limits and play the hottest games like Aristocrat, Dollar Storm, Cloverlink, and Lightning Cash. Table game aficionados can feel the thrill of the felt with 50 live table games. From 3-card to blackjack match, we're ready to deal you in. Plus, don't miss stadium gaming for an interactive digital experience. And for high rollers, our high limit room is calling your name. Go big on 6 high limit blackjack tables or spin one of our 54 high stakes slot machines. Throw in 8 delicious dining options and a 300-room high-rise hotel, and there's plenty to keep you going. At Southland Casino Hotel, the gaming excitement never stops.
Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Rocking the beat on Grizz Beat as draft day #1 set to happen tonight in Brooklyn, New York. We'll go back there live to Michael Wallace, the guru of Grind City Media, in just a moment. But Michael Wallace had a chance to talk with Gary Parrish about the value of the Grizzlies' first-round pick at #9. Let's hear that interview.
It's the Southland Casino Hotel Grizzlies draft update. I'm Michael Wallace, joined by Gary Parrish of the Grind City Media Gary Parrish Show. Also, Gary is one of the preeminent college basketball insiders for CBS Sports. Gary, we're talking about the Memphis Grizzlies as they're nearing the June 26 NBA draft. They go in with the #9 overall pick. Historically, #9 has returned some pretty remarkable players when you talk about Dirk Nowitzki, Amari Stoudemire, you know, the list goes on and on. Tracy McGrady, those guys were all #9 picks. What is the value you see historically at #9 when you hear those kind of names?
Well, you can get a great player there. You just proved it. You can also get a guy you'll never talk about again there. And that's sort of, you can pick any number in the draft, 1, 2, 17, 44, and we're going to be able to find examples that fit whatever criteria you're looking for. So I think, broadly speaking, it is possible to get a great player at #9, but it would probably be more difficult in this draft than most others, if only because most evaluators think this draft is weaker than most others. I've heard, and this is dramatic, I don't know if I agree with this, but I've heard people I respect say the guy who's going to go #1 in this draft wouldn't go in the top 6 in most other drafts. That seems like a little too big of a stretch for me, but I do get the point. That said, all-stars come out of every draft.
Yeah.
And they come from all places. For instance, you go back to the 2013 NBA draft. That's one that people also said was weak. It's the one where Anthony Bennett went #1. Right. But do you know who else was in that draft? Giannis Antetokounmpo, Rudy Gobert. They just weren't thought of that way heading into the draft, but they obviously developed into, I think in both cases, future Hall of Famers. Giannis, obviously, and now with Gobert having 4 Defensive Player of the Years, probably combined with his international success, gets there as well. So you can find stars anywhere in any draft, but this draft does, broadly speaking, seem weaker than most.
When you look at what 9 could get you in this particular draft, who are some of the prospects that you see? Like, give me the Gary Parrish big board, best guard, best wing, best center.
So let's start with the guards. Yeah. If I were picking a guard, the first one off the table for me in this draft would be Reed Sheppard. Now, he's interesting because he didn't even start at Kentucky, but he was the CBS Sports National Freshman of the Year, shot above 50% from the field, above 50% from three. He was fabulous. I'll never understand why John Calipari used him in the way that he used him, but perhaps that's played a role in him no longer being the coach at Kentucky. Either way, I just think he's fabulous. And I'm not comparing him to Steph Curry, and I never have. But I remember heading into the Steph Curry draft, we had just seen this young man take Davidson to the Elite Eight.
Yep.
We had seen him make shots from all over the court. I had been in gyms between the Elite Eight run and the start of the next season and watched Steph Curry playing with undeniable NBA prospects like DeMar DeRozan, Tyreek Evans, and I would have evaluators say, there's nobody here better than him. In other words, everything you needed to see and everything we have subsequently seen from Steph Curry, it was on tape.
Yeah.
It's just in the draft process, people got so caught up on what they thought he couldn't do or what he wouldn't be, as opposed to just looking at the incredible shot making and ability to play on or off the ball. I say all that to say, I think people are doing the same thing with Reed Sheppard. We just watched him play on the ball, off the ball, make shots in transition, make shots coming off of ball screens, make shots in every way you can make shots. He's a good athlete, 42-inch vertical at the combine. So if I told you the best shooter in the draft is also a top-shelf athlete who can play on or off the ball, you wouldn't be questioning it. But for some reason, some people do. I love Reed Sheppard.
Yes.
He would be the first guard off the board for me. And his teammate at Kentucky would probably be, if not the second, certainly on the list of people I'm looking at, that would be Rob Dillingham. Dalton Connect out of Tennessee, your reigning SEC Player of the Year. That's actually who I have going to the Grizzlies at number 9 in my latest mock draft. So those are some guards. Connect a little bit more of a wing, but those are some guards that I'm really high on in this 2024 NBA draft. You go to the front court, the guy who I believe is going to go number 1 in the draft is the guy who I would also take number 1 in the draft. That's Alex Sarr. He's an international prospect. He's from France. People here will be very familiar with his most likely comp, which is Jaren Jackson Jr. You know, he's 7'1". He flies around, blocks shots, alters shots. He doesn't shoot it at this age the way Jaren shoots it now. But when you watch him, the statistics aren't there. Like, it's not good numbers, percentages, but it looks fine. It looks like he's going to be able to make that shot. So would he be the number 1 pick in most people's drafts? Other years? Probably not. But in this draft, he does appear to be the best prospect available. And we could have centers go 1 and 2. It's not the way I would do it, but Donovan Clingan is going to go very high in this draft as well. I know Grizzlies fans are wondering, is he going to be available at 9? I'd say probably not, but not definitely not, because outside of Alex Sarr and maybe 1 or 2 other guys, anybody in that range could go 2 or 9.
Right.
Like the guy you see in some mock drafts going 2 right now really might be available at number 9 for the Grizzlies on draft night. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this thing unfolds. That's why when you hear folks say things like, if you're the Grizzlies, who would you take at number 9? Well, first you got to tell me who are the first 8 guys off the board. And it's hard to know who those 8 guys are going to be at this point.
There's such a variance when you talk about this draft, even from 1. You know, Sarr is a guy that's, you know, most people are saying he's at the top of the list right now in terms of going number 1 overall, which the Hawks have that pick. But anyone after that, it's up in the air. There's still a lot of work to do. The combine is now behind us. We're in the midst of all of these individual workouts. I think that's going to, have some other differences in terms of how these guys are processed on different draft boards. And then it all leads up to the June 26th first round of the NBA draft at Barclays. We'll have you definitely covered from Grind City Media. For Gary Parrish, I'm Michael Wallace. Keep it locked on all of our Grizzlies draft content presented by Southland Casino Hotel.
Hey, there is so much Grizz content coming up, and we've even got a little update here with Matt Enfield, who's been checking the Twitterverse or the X.
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it here lately.
Yeah, so Evan Sittery, who I guess he writes about the NBA for Forbes, is saying that the Grizzlies are very actively trying to move up to grab Donovan Clingan, and that, like Mike Wallace mentioned, Houston is kind of the swing team. If they don't take Kling, then that activity could really heat up. And apparently they're trying to leap the Trailblazers, who have the 7th pick, to ensure that they get Kling. So, and again, like with this front office over the years, we've seen they throw out little smoke screens here and there. So nothing's assured, but it kind of tracks with what we think they could pursue.
Yeah, and that one's on paper now, or on the it's
the
Twitterverse right
yes.
now. Also, there was rumors out there about the Grizzlies could be really interested in making a trade to get to bring Mitchell Robinson here from the Knicks for Luke Kennard. The money matches. And all the rest of that. They may have to sweeten the pot a little bit, but that gets you a big man who has had some injury issues with his ankles, but he is definitely a rim protector, a rebounder, everything that you would want in the Steven Adams-esque mode. Plus, he's young. So, those things are out there, but I don't know. The Knicks just made that great big move.
That's what I was going to say.
Bridges to the,
and now Isaiah Hartenstein. Hartenstein now might be too expensive for them because they want to re-sign OG Anunoby. So in that case, do they let Hartenstein walk because they have to, and then Mitchell Robinson? They keep him as their starting center. So it's going to be a wild offseason, especially the next couple days.
Hey, Michael Wallace up there in Brooklyn. Are you anything you're hearing up there at the nerve center of the NBA draft at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're seeing all the buzz, man. I literally just saw, Adrian Wojnarowski from ESPN walk one way, grab his cell phone, put it to his ear, and walk the other way very, very fast.
You mean it's not automatically just glued to his ear? Because that guy's on it all the time.
So you can expect the Woj Bomber 2 starting to come in the next few minutes here. So we'll see how that goes. But, yes, all of this tracks, man. You're going to see a flurry of rumors come out. I think the worst kept secret in the NBA now is that the Grizzlies are interested in Donovan Clingan. That's been the case all the way through. The question is, can they execute the move and get it done? So
takes 2 or 3 to tango, right?
Yeah. There's also reports that Clingan may or may not have reached out and followed Ja Morant on social media, and Ja Morant responded to the follow. So those things. Look, it's all what it is, man, and you just have to have fun with it. And see where it leads to. But it's going to be an exciting night. It's going to be an exciting afternoon. Like, this won't stop. You know what I mean? It's the calm before the storm, and it's really not calm right now. So that's how I feel about it coming into it.
Yeah, with the Edey and Dalton Connect, Dalton Connect could be there at number 9 if they make some moves, or if he somehow falls to that spot. I don't know. He looks like an NBA-ready guy, don't you think? Dalton Connect from Tennessee?
I've had a chance to talk to him.
Right.
Yeah. He's a guy I had a chance to talk to a couple of different times. I talked to him in Chicago at the Combine. I talked to him yesterday here in New York. First of all, he gave a great shout out to UT's College World Series National Championship baseball team. And he said he wanted to represent them. And he also said he wanted to represent the Tennessee fans who are in Memphis. He did have a workout. I will tell you this now. He had a workout with the Memphis Grizzlies. He came to Memphis. He was showered with love from UT alums who were in Shelby County on his time when he came through. And he had a great time visiting and a meeting and working out with the Grizzlies. So what does that mean? We'll see. There are going to be some wings in this situation that the Grizzlies are going to have to look at. If all the other Clingan and Edey and the big man, if they can't get to either one of those players one way or another, there's going to be a handful of wing players that are going to be interesting. I mean, it's Dalton Connect, it's Cody Williams, Jalen Williams' brother from Oklahoma City is in that mix there. It's Ron Holland, who could end up being one of the best players in this draft in 2 or 3 years. So, again, when you look at the Grizzlies roster, they look like they're taken care of on the wing right now. But I don't know if you can pass up the best available player if that one of those guys are still sitting there as well, too, and you haven't executed a trade for Clingan as of yet.
Yeah, how do you look at that? You already have Gigi Jackson on the roster, who is an uber talented, athletic guy, and then you bring in a Ron Holland, who's going to be drafted higher because you got Gigi late in the second round, and here comes Ron Holland. If you take him in the first round or whatever, how does that work out? How does that dynamic work out when they get into camp?
You just let them go. You figure out, okay, it's a real competition. Iron sharpens iron. You certainly have roster duplication if you got to go get another wing. But it's also a cheap wing. Like, your wings are like what the Grizzlies have to do now, that Desmond Bane's contract will kick in. His max deal will kick in starting next year.
Right.
And then you have Jaren Jackson Jr. going up for another extension that's going to probably be close to a max, if not a max. And Ja is already on just about a max. You're going to need cheap productive labor. You're going to need cheap guys who are young and on their rookie contracts. You can't have enough of those guys. And, I'm not saying that that's the path forward to getting you to the next round of the playoffs, but you also have to stockpile assets. And if you're not drafting them for yourself for the long term, you could be managing those assets until you can move off of them for other deals that you're going to need to make going into the summer, later into the summer.
Yeah, throwing it out to the panel, guys, that's like the whole best available versus need kind of thing. It comes up here, and it all happens, as Michael said, what happens with Houston at number 3, then that's when everybody's got to really get their thinking caps on and do whatever they got to do to try to make a trade. You don't just do it. Nothing exists in a vacuum after that. Everybody's got to be able to work together. You've got to find a partner if you want to make moves or whatever. Do you see a best guy available at this, or do you see them making a move out of need?
I think that Klingon to me represents what could be best available.
If you can't get either him or
if it's not Klingon, to me, I like Devin Carter, who we talked about before, and Dalton Knecht, because I think you could throw both of those guys on an NBA floor tomorrow and they could contribute. I'm not saying that they're going to average 20 points a game. I'm not saying they're going to play 35 minutes a night, but I think that either one of those guys could walk in and be solid rotational pieces right off the bat. And championship teams, like you said before, they're not all about high-end star power. You need some of that, don't get me wrong, but you have to hit around the edges. And you add in a Dalton Knecht or a Devin Carter who could contribute right away. I'm a big fan of that move as well.
Colin?
Same. I think you got to go best available and best fit, whatever that looks like for you in your franchise. You have to just secure some pathway to your future and where you're trying to go. Like Mike said, the next step to getting towards the playoffs.
Potential stars in this group?
Oh,
we'll see. I mean, I think everything's up to grab right now.
Michael mentioned before, if I was going to bank on one guy, now I don't think I would be a fan of the Grizzlies taking him because I think he is going to take a little bit of time. Boy, if Ron Holland hits, he's going to hit big time. Freaky athlete. I'm curious to see what he looks like outside of the G League Ignite ecosystem because that was a little bit messy last year, and you could see there was some.
That was like the Tigers in the second half of the season.
Right.
They just imploded.
Right, and you could tell there were some habits in there that a lot of young players developed. He had more turnovers than assists. It was he was inefficient in the half court, but in the right development system, I think he could hit big time. Again, I don't think the Grizzlies need projects, but if someone takes him and they let him slowly develop, he could be a star, I think.
Yeah, I think the same thing. Yeah. Like, you hit it right. I mean, I don't think the Grizzlies need any more projects to get them through the year that they just had, but I definitely feel like if they have the potential to grab somebody that can jump off the board like a Gigi did last year and exceed, then, go for it.
Okay, Michael Wallace, you've had a chance to be there on scene. I don't know if you've got a favorite guy in this thing or if you have somebody you think is going to be a superstar. You'd be the superstar to me. I would love to see you walk up there on the podium. I'd laugh and scratch so much. That'd be great to see Michael Wallace with the 9th overall pick. But, or anybody, your pick for the star of this draft.
My pick for the star of this draft would be Ron Holland or Stephon Castle. I think those two guys, to me, have the biggest. They will have the ball in their hands at some point, and they will be like if San Antonio can get Stephon Castle and you pair him with Victor Wembanyama, you're talking about a dynamic superstar duo there. Wherever Ron Holland ends up, the later he goes, the more veterans and better team he's going to end up going to because that's the way the lottery typically works. If he goes past 8, 9, 10, gets up in there with a team that has some playoff-ready veterans, he could be special as well too. But it's one of those things. And last thing I'll say is this, because I'm going to have to run after this. But match point and obviously, we've had some great things to say about all of these guys. Don't overlook Devin Carter. Do not overlook Devin Carter. And the reason why I say that is because I had a chance to sit with him for about 5-10 minutes yesterday, one-on-one. One of the biggest stories, like everybody's talking about what the Grizzlies are going to do in this draft. The second biggest Grizzlies storyline is the father-son dynamic between Anthony Carter, Grizzlies assistant, and his son, Devin Carter, who had a remarkable year at Providence, Big East Player of the Year, I believe, and he's jumped into the top 10. He has a remarkable story, a great story, and it's going to be a fantastic father-son moment. Anthony Carter is here. not necessarily representing the Grizzlies, but representing his son. So to see him in the green room, to see him share that, there's going to be two father-son stories that play out over this 2-day draft.
Yes.
The LeBron James and Bronny James
Correct.
on tomorrow, which is day 2 in the second round. And today's would be, one of them will be Devin Carter and his dad, Anthony Carter. And it's going to be a remarkable story that unfolds tonight.
Last thing before you go, I got to ask you this. How many times do you think somebody's going to get the call with the so-and-so pick and they go up there and they put the hat on, and then later we're going to hear that they're changing hats going to another team? How many times is that going to happen?
This is the first round, so it's 30 picks in this round. I would say the over-under is 6. I think there's going to be at least 6 trades of guys swapping hats. 6 will be the mark that I set.
All right, I got Michael Wallace down for 6. All right, Colin. Hey, have a good time up there, Michael. I want you to do a walkthrough on the broadcast tonight. We got to see you up there, represent. Okay? You can hold up the big G for Grambling if you want, and just do the quick walkthrough, or G for Grizz, G and G. Grizz Next Gen. That's Michael Wallace up there in Brooklyn. We appreciate his live reporting. Colin, Cody, how many trades we're going to see? Somebody's going to put on a so-and-so cap, going to have to change it before the night's over.
Well, mine's a little lower than Mike's, but I'm going to say 4. I like 4. I think right before you get to the 6th pick, we're going to have a lot of things happening right around then. So, I'm going with 4.
What's the possibility?
5.5 was the number I was going to set. No pushes on Madden Field Sportsbook. Either win or you lose, so I'm going 5.5.
How about the Grizz pick? Will the Grizz draft somebody and then that person gets traded later in the night? Or they announce, we have a trade to announce. The Grizzlies.
I don't know how it's all going to play out, but why can't the NBA do it like the NFL? The NFL, the trade happens, and then the player goes up there and they wear the hat and show off the jersey of the team they're actually going to be playing for. Come on.
I think it's something in the NBA rules. They have to make the pick first.
Maybe.
Before they do all the wheeling and dealing afterwards.
Rules were meant to be broken and changed sometimes.
Yeah, because that is frustrating. Because there have been times on TV that would come out there and say, "Oh yeah, they got this person," and then while you're editing that video and come back out, "Oh, they traded him? What? I got to change all."
It's like everyone knows they're not going to be playing for that team. Yeah, we got to switch that up. Come on.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that gets. You think Bronny's going to get drafted?
I think he will. Yes. I think we're going to talk about if he should or not, with all due respect to the young man, because he's overcome a lot. And I think that he has potential in front of him.
The heart problem, everything that he has.
Yeah. I don't think he should, not this year. I think he should have gone back to school for one more full season. Like you mentioned, he had cardiac arrest, which is incredible that he was able to bounce back and play last season, but it did rob him of a full season of college basketball. I don't think he should be a player that's drafted. He will because he's LeBron James' son. The one thing I will definitely say about Bronny is that I respect the fact that he has gone about this and tried to blaze his own path. And he was asked a question about the type of players he wants to emulate. And he mentioned guys like Davion Mitchell and Marcus Smart. Right. So he's very aware of the type of player he is, which I give him a lot of props for, because that takes a good deal of maturity, especially at, 19, to understand, hey, I'm probably not going to be a superstar, but this is how I could fit into the league.
Yeah, I think, honestly, you look, I know LeBron's his dad and everything, and I'm okay with a little nepotism sometimes. Because it's everywhere else in this country. So,
facts.
Hey, if LeBron's son can do it, hey, I would love to see it. I like Kenny, the kid, and Senior when they got to play together and all that stuff. But for Bronny, I think, like you said, Matt, he's a trailblazer. He's trying to do his own thing, and maybe this is the best time for him to come out. With this draft being as weak as it is, a lot of people say you go and test the field now. You get in the G League, whatever you have to do. But as long as you get that pro opportunity and that NBA opportunity, and I think he can be even compared to a Drew Holiday. A guy that can probably be more of a defensive stopper,
guy.
A high IQ, and going to knock down a shot when you need it. So I don't think he's going to be a superstar by putting the ball in the hoop, but I think he can do enough of the right things that will make him stand out on somebody's roster.
I say if he gets drafted by anybody, it'll be the Lakers, because he's got to go with Dad. That has been in the works, I think, since he came out of the womb. And LeBron still at 38, 39.
Going on 40 this year, I think.
Coming back, he's still a freak.
Yeah.
I mean, he still, can play and put up big numbers. And to have his son out there, hey, I'm cool with it. But what if the Grizzlies took him at number 56? What would you say about that?
The king ain't coming to Memphis. We already got Elvis and everybody else. LeBron ain't moving here. I'm gonna let you know
He'd
that
be
now.
playing against his son here on Beale Street.
I will say I would be a fan of it. I will say that Rich Paul.
I don't think he'd make the team.
Rich Paul has done a lot of great things for his clients, no doubt.
Yeah.
But this whole mindset of I think he's only worked out for the Lakers and the Suns. Mm-hmm. Here's my thing. Are you then alienating this kid for when, because to be honest, I mean, for me and us, a big reason why he will get drafted right now is because his dad is still in the league. His dad's still in the league at a high level. What happens the day LeBron retires? Are you alienating teams that are going to say, oh, you wouldn't work out for us when you were coming out? Why should we give you a shot now? Now your dad's not in the league, and that attachment's not there anymore. So, I don't think he'll be coming to Memphis, though.
It's always tough, when you got a kid that plays and you're a superstar, because everybody's going to sling arrows at you. I just wish the young man a lot of good luck. Okay, we got one more break to go here on Grizz Beat, and what we're going to do, we're going to take this break right now. When we come back, we're going to go down some nostalgia lane there and show you a little thing that'll make you kind of tear up when you see it. That's coming up next on Grizz Beat.
The Grizz girls are no ordinary dance team. They're known across the NBA for setting the standard for world-class dance and entertainment. From hip-hop to jazz, the Grizz girls do it all. And they're looking for talented dancers with dynamic personalities to join the team. Do you have what it takes to join a premier NBA dance team and entertain Grizz Nation both on the court and in the community? Visit grizzlies.com/auditions now for more information and show us what you've got at open auditions Saturday, July 13th.
The Indiana Fever have to do something. You cannot let her get hit like this.
No.
Because it's not just you're allowing people to think this is okay. It's you're allowing her to think that you don't have her back.
Yes.
Like whatever you think of her on a personal level, she is wherever you're going. If you're a member of that franchise, wherever you're going, it's where she's taking you.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Now for a limited time, the new $1.99 crispy tender wraps are here at Sonic. Who could deny a crispy chicken tender with bold flavors like hickory barbecue and cheesy Baja? And we can't forget the crisp lettuce and melty cheese to make the perfect bite. Wrap yourself up with some TLC, tender, love, and chicken for only $1.99. Sonic $1.99 crispy tender wraps. Tax not included, limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins.
What is going on? What is it? Which one? What color was it?
With speckles.
Yeah, that's vomit. That's vomit. Yeah, that is the worst one. The vomit is the worst one. I'd like to remind everybody that this is her idea. She wanted to do this.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Hey, Grizz fam, tune in tonight, 7 o'clock for a special edition Grind City Media production, the 2024 Draft Show, live from Southland Casino Hotel. Hey, get real-time reactions and expert analysis on all things Grizzlies and the NBA through the first round from Chris Vernon, Jessica Benson, Brevin Knight, and all your favorite Grizzlies broadcasters and Grind City Media team members while you follow along on that night's first round of action in the NBA draft. Now the show tips off 7 o'clock in the GCM mobile app and on Grind City Media's YouTube channel. Make sure your face is in the place. Go there or catch it on Grind City Media. Right now, we want to take a little walk down memory lane. I said it'd be something to bring a tears to your eyes back when the Grizzlies were fantastic. The 2013 Western Conference Finals of the association when the Grizzlies take on the San Antonio Spurs. What a night, what a series. Everything in this series was just absolutely crazy. Zebo doing his thing in the paint. You had guys like the Grindfather himself locking down people. The growl towels were waving. Of course, I have to tell you, in the all transparency, the Grizzlies did get swept, but Every game in that series went down to the last end, as my mother would say, went down to the very, very final whistle. Two of those games went overtime, and I think there was a couple of others that went like to the last few seconds before it was decided. Now, Colin, you were in college at the time, but you got to come up and see a couple of those games, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a prime. That really made me a Grizzlies fan. Obviously, growing up, you get the team moving here for me. But, I wasn't a Grizz fan until later on. So, that made me a Grizzlies fan, especially when they were going through those battles with OKC back in the day when Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook were all on that squad. So, so many memories we seen in that building right behind us.
Yeah, and like you were up on Long Island, I think, back in 2013.
That was my freshman year of college. So I was in Tampa.
Down in Tampa.
I was at USF. Yeah. But, of course, I remember a lot of, that team, that core was just one of the most identifiable groups in the NBA at the time, just because they were so unique and they were this kind of antithesis to
the core four,
to what the league was becoming. Obviously like spread, 3-point shooting, and then here are these guys that are just get down the post and beat you up. And great grind. The name says it all. So I definitely remember watching those series.
It was fantastic for me and my wife. We were season ticket holders. We were at every game, and of course I'm doing it on the news too, and I got to run back to the station and do that. But to crowds down in San Antonio. Of course, they are Go Spurs Go. That's their big deal. I heard enough of that over the years. But they were very – they knew they were in for a battle. They all respected Zebo and Mark Gasol, Mike Conley, and, of course, the grindfather, Tony Allen. And to go up against Tim Duncan and that whole crew was just really an amazing sight. And it's something that can happen here again as early as this season. Yep. The Grizzlies are poised. A lot depends on what happens in the draft and in free agency coming up, but they got the group, I believe. Of course, I'm representing. They got the group, I believe, that they're ready. They're not trying to build. They're built.
Yep.
They're making the moves around the edges that could put them over the top. What do you think, Colin?
Absolutely. You got your core guys entering not only those big contracts, but the primes of their career. You got 25, 26, 27. They're starting to, they're tired of losing so early and going home.
Well, they've gotten what do they call it, when you get cut, they got the scar tissue.
Yeah, they got the scar tissue. They got thick skin now. So these boys, they ain't taking nothing for granted, and they're ready to bring something home to the city for sure.
West is going to be a bloodbath next year. I think there's no question about that. I think the only team that you could definitively say right now won't make the playoffs in the West next year is probably Portland, maybe Utah, depending on how.
Could be Phoenix if they
who knows? Go. But it's going to be a bloodbath. But, we saw in the playoffs this year, Denver was kind of this giant above the West, but Denver, we saw, is not immortal. They got knocked out by the Timberwolves, who then got knocked out by the Mavericks. So, that, depending on how the draft shakes out, the Grizzlies are going to have one of the strongest 8 to 10 man rotations in the entire league, not just the Western Conference. So if you told me they're right back in that series next year, maybe even if things break right beyond that series in the NBA Finals next year, I would not be surprised one bit.
Yeah, well, none of us will be surprised here as we sit right next door to the Grindhouse at 191 Beale. And we want you to get your face to the place. Get to Southland Casino tonight if you want to see the Grizz, our draft show. It starts at 7 o'clock, or you can catch it on the mobile app, Grizzlies Grind City Media, and do whatever you can do. But catch up with the draft right here. We'll have all the latest on what's going on in round 1 of the NBA draft for you. And we will be back live next week with more on what happened in the NBA draft, and I look forward to Summer League and free agency. That'll be next week, same time, same bat channel. I want to thank Matt Enfield from Action News 5 for joining us, along with Colin Cody from News Channel 3. Guys, we really appreciate it. A big shout out to the guru of Grind City Media himself, Michael Wallace, who is up at the draft site in Brooklyn, New York as we speak. He's taking his place in the green room. He's waiting for his name to be called. But that could be a long wait. But anyway, we'll all have it for you. That's coming up next week. You'll see you guys next week right here on Grizz Beat.
That's game. Thanks for running with us for another episode of Grizz Beat. Join us each Wednesday at Grind City Media for all the latest insight and analysis on the Grizzlies.